Good afternoon, comic book fans. Welcome back to Comics in 5 Minutes. I'm Neville, no shorty, and yes, it's been a while, but there's been a problem with like stuff getting delivered last week, and some of the stuff we did have sold out straight away. So in the end, it's basically come down to the fact that now I have things. Yay! I get to review The Brother of All Men. The reason why this one is topped out as the first thing I'm going to review is that name in the corner there, Zach Thompson. Basically responsible for writing Undone by Blood, which is my all-time favorite comic books. That one came out a few years ago. I love the contemporary take on the Western spin. I think it's really, really well done. It plays with form, and it's really well written. Great characters, great story. Everything about it is damn near perfect for what I'm into. So seeing them do something else, I was like, yeah, okay, let's check this one out. And this is another like historical kind of thing, in the fact it's based on an actual cult that apparently was formed some point around where Zach Thompson used to be a kid, or at least close by. And you find it really, really weird and want to do more research into it. And I kind of like that for this idea because it's based on a cult story. And I like cult stories. I think they're interesting. They can tell you a lot about time periods and what people expect from them and why people get taken in by them. I think they're actually really good human stories in their own way. Sorry about the noise there. But what they also can do is kind of remove themselves from that by making them about something supernatural, which in a way kind of like moves away from or diminishes a little bit like what the actual human stories people going through them kind of actually are. Thankfully, this one appears to be very much based on reality, or if it isn't, if there's going to be a twist at the end, I think I can, I don't know if forgive it, that's the wrong word, but I think I can get on board with it. Because it does such a good job of setting it in a realistic world with realistic characters. The main one being an ex-World War I soldier who's facially disfigured, who becomes a private eye looking for somebody who's gone missing. But when he gets the picture of the person who's gone missing, the young lady, it turns out his brother is also in the picture. His brother we thought was dead. So it then becomes a much more personal journey, and he ends up blowing pretty much all of his money and ends up destitute and homeless, going through Victoria, I can't remember exactly, in Canada, trying to find these people, and gets roped into the fact that this is actually some kind of cult that is not necessarily taking people, but convincing them to join. And this kind of brainwashing and manipulation, it's kind of easy to look at it and think, well, you know, they're making their own choices. Nobody's physically capturing them and dragging them from one place to another. It's easy to think of that as like, well, this up to personal choice then. But I will say there's an awful lot of manipulation that goes into this kind of thing, psychological stuff, which is quite harmful. I read little bits on cults and how to deprogram it, and none of it is good. And I like the idea that it can be presented as a good thing. I think that's an interesting take on it because it gives you a chance to look at what people are looking for. And this does it really well. There's also genuinely cool bits of writing in and amongst it. There's one particular line where it's something along the lines of, like a moth drawn to flame. Now, that in itself shouldn't be like a major thing, but I like the removal of the to a flame. Instead of flame, just to all flame, it makes it sound distinctly more sinister. Like it isn't just a moth to a flame, as in a moth's going to respond a certain way to our flame. It's just more that all flame is just enticing to moths, and it is dangerous, and it just comes across as slightly darker and slightly creepier. This kind of writing style goes throughout. There's quite a few little bits where sentence structures don't quite make the same kind of sense I would rather do myself, but it feels accurate to the time. It adds a sense of place really effectively and a sense of time. There's also some quite nice takes on the idea that quite often when you hear the idea of like the end of the American dream, that kind of thing, the United States is obviously what you're going to think of, but this is a similar kind of story about a country that's lost its way, but it's Canada that's lost its way, or so-called Canada as you keep referring to it as, which makes it a very interesting little take. Adds an extra little bit of depth which I wasn't expecting and makes me want to carry on reading it. Art-wise, I've got to admit I wasn't like absolutely blown away when I first picked it up. I was mainly taken by the fact that it's quite dark and grimy, which I quite like, don't get me wrong, but it's also very text-heavy. But the more I was reading it, the more I realised that the darkness was actually on purpose. The griminess to it actually added to, again, to the sense of place and the sense of timing. And then there's some quite nice little tricks playing with form as well. There's a lovely bit where it's like bottom panel of the page is split into like 12 different bits, and it's just a close-up on eyes. But the vertical splits through the panel don't necessarily match up, so it means the eye looks fractured and disjointed. And since how much stuff is to do with the eyes in this comic book, that kind of like recurring visual motif is actually really important, and it works really nicely to make you feel disoriented when you see it. It isn't just that you're seeing eyes; you're seeing eyes broken and unusual. And I can't help but feel that this kind of visual storytelling is going to play off more further down as we get into it. There's also some really nice back matter here. Sometimes I prefer my back matter to be giving additional background to the story. This feels like it's actually just what's happened after. Well, it is what's happened after the first issue. So it does add something to the story, but it feels more necessary rather than some back matter which can just be flavor. I'm not 100% sure I agree with that one, but it's still entertaining to read. That's it from me today. I will be back tomorrow. I've got a whole bunch to review. I'm going to try and get through as many as I can. Until then, look after each other, everyone. Stay safe. Bye.